NVIDIA DLSS 3.5, they're now planning on releasing another DLSS variant here, and this time they're focusing on ray reconstruction, basically using the AI to reconstruct ray tracing. And you might be asking why they're constructing ray tracing or reconstructing ray tracing, because, what would be the reason they're doing that? Well, basically, they have, certain denoisers that are applied to, cut off certain things like those grain in the film. So to make it much more enhanced, much clearer, they need to use denoisers. But the problem with denoisers is that they literally cut off many details of the image. So to counter that, they're basically introducing ray reconstruction using AI, of course. So this is NVIDIA is talking about here. That's the engine generation of the material and geometry, basically having no lightning effects, obviously. And then we get the reflections and the diffuse global illumination. In this case, the rays are sampled from multiple lightning effects, but as you can see, it creates a lot of noise, and rightfully so, that will create a lot of noise. And then they basically use the denoisers to tune it down where those dots are basically matched with the image quality, matched with the image, and basically that's what the denoiser does, makes it better than what that is actually. Like, it removes all the grains from the film, so that's really nice. But the problem is that resolution, it creates this low resolution. When you upscale it, it has some details missing, which is understandable because they're literally trying to remove the dots, those grains, and by doing so they miss those details. So as you can see here in the spatial interpolation, the current frame, just when you use the denoiser, the interpolated frame, it looks very blurry, and even in the temporal accumulation, you can see that the current frame uses the previous frame and then accumulates another frame, which is again has a lot of noise in it. So to remove that, they use the denoisers. But by doing so, basically, as you can see, they compared some of the images. Basically, the reference image and the first image we're looking at is the car. Basically, there's the reference image and the denoiser output, and as you can see, there's a ghosting effect. So the shadow of the car is not accurate enough, and that's why there's a ghosting effect, which is a inaccurate lighting effect that they're saying. And even the second image, we're looking at in that red area that has been marked, and as you can see, that there's no shadow effect going on. So basically, the global illumination is completely gone. Denoiser literally cut it off. That's the problem with denoisers. And even in the last image, we're looking at the reflection, and the detail of the reflection, it has been lowered. So that is also another problem, as I said, that the data is not there enough for the denoiser to work properly, and that's why the quality gets lower. So yeah, they basically introduced the DLSS 3.5 as they're saying that this is AI powered ray reconstruction. So in this case, as you can see, the material and geometry coming in and then multiplying with a high frequency sample rays, and then we're getting the ray reconstruction and super resolution at the same time. Basically, DLSS 3 plus the 0.5. That 0.5 is basically the ray reconstruction, and by doing so, they're not only making a better high quality image, they also make the ray tracing look better. So this is another example. Basically, with the DLSS off, the denoiser really completely removes the shadow or the global illumination, but using the DLSS 3.5, that makes it even better because they're reconstructing it. And as you can see, the detail for that shadow is still there, basically as the same as the native image. And this is an example basic for the ray reconstruction in the Cyberpunk Overdrive mode, right? And they're literally showing that same thing where it really reconstructing an image looks better. And as you can see, the reflection is much more detailed, which is crazy, honestly. It kind of looks better. And even in this case, you're looking at the DLSS is completely turned off, and well, the image, even though the ray tracing is on, it doesn't really look that great because the grains are available. The denoisers are not doing that great. But in terms of DLSS 3.5, it's looking pretty neat. It's very clear, you can tell. So it's very much clear that ray reconstruction is doing pretty damn good job here. And there's one more good news here, is that the DLSS 3.5 not only supports all the GeForce RTX GPUs, ray reconstruction also supports all the GPUs. Basically, you don't have any restriction. So all GPU will support all basically the ray tracing based GPUs. The RTX GPUs will support DLSS 3.5, which is nice, honestly. And this is another example from the Cyberpunk here with the DLSS off. Obviously, it won't look that great, but DLSS 2 and 3 on, the frame rate are going pretty good. But that's the thing about the DLSS 3.5. Look at the difference in the color. It just night and day difference. Just look at it. DLSS 3.5 is making that color pop off because obviously they're reconstructing it, which is pretty neat, I'm not gonna lie. It's looking pretty good. And not only that, they're also boosting performance a little bit. As you can see, it's going from 101 to 110, comparing DLSS 3 and DLSS 3.5. And the reason that is why that's happened is because they're literally using one AI model compared to many other denoisers. So that's why it helps the performance go up a little bit, but not always the case. It won't be always the case, but still the image quality is far better, which is damn good. So now you might be asking when it will gonna launch. Basically, the DLSS 3.5 will make its debut in the fall, around fall, so we don't really know when, but you could expect like at the end of this year. That is probably the case. So in summary, basically DLSS 3.5 is a ray reconstruction tool. Basically, it's basically the same DLSS 3 with the ray reconstruction, and the reason they're doing this is to counter the denoiser deleting the essential data for upscaling that DLSS 3.5 doesn't, and obviously it's superior because that's why they're presenting it. So I really like the way to do this. Denoiser is not that bad in terms of upscaling, but for image quality it is limiting it. But now we have a solution, and that is the DLSS 3.5. So that's really great.